G'day guys, my name is Wildkard and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for following my content. If you do want to buy me a coffee, hit the join button down below. Otherwise, let's get on with today's preview. Ireland versus the mighty All Blacks, Lansdowne Road 2021 Autumn Internationals. This is the biggest game of this weekend. So Ireland had a pretty awesome performance last week against Japan. Almost perfect performance, blowing Japan out of the water, 60 points to 5. Whereas the All Blacks played their B team against Italy and really kind of struggled, especially in the first half, with just handling errors left and right. Looked really rusty. Maybe the fatigue is a little bit of an issue for the All Blacks. They've been traveling on the road for 3 months now. And as a result, Ireland had a very tiny changes, a little bit of swapping between the bench, and basically the team is virtually the same from last week for Ireland. And then for New Zealand, on the other hand, massive sweeping changes across the board. Pretty much most of the team has been changed. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. And there's some big intriguing factors from the New Zealand team. Is the number 10 spot. Who's going to get the coveted number 10 jersey? Is it the man greatest of all time, Richie Mo'unga? Or is it the resurgence of Beauden Barrett? And sure enough, Ian Foster, Sir Fozzie, has blessed Beauden with his 111th test cap at the number 10 start. 101, not 11, test cap. So Beauden is back at 10 against Conor Murray, both centenaries. This will be an extremely exciting matchup. And also, Sir Fozzie, thank you for taking my advice. Dropping the board dropper, David Havili, to the bench, and Anton Leonard-Brown gets moved to 12. And overall, largely the All Blacks has made changes across the board in the 4-pack as well. We should have a look at that in a minute. We'll look at the detailed comparison in a minute. Let's go through some pre-match information for you. So first up, New Zealand and Ireland has had almost over 100 years of history, and New Zealand has never lost to Ireland until Joe Schmidt took over and beat New Zealand the first time in the United States in Chicago in 2006. This was probably one of the best matches I have ever seen from Ireland. And then the following that, New Zealand beat Ireland, and then a couple years later, on 2018, Ireland beat New Zealand again, going to the Rugby World Cup. And this was, again, in Dublin. This was almost a perfect game from Ireland. Like, it was just spectacular to watch this game. And then going to the Rugby World Cup, everybody wants to see Ireland versus New Zealand again, following the win in Dublin. And sure enough, our wish has been granted. Ireland went into the quarterfinals against New Zealand after losing to Japan. And yeah, the results here, 46-14. The All Blacks pulled out a win. So everybody wants to know, is this going to be tick for tack? Is Ireland going to hit back at New Zealand and get another win on the board? And also, the Joe Schmidt retired. This is the first time Andy Farrell is head coaching against the All Blacks. So we shall see how he goes. If Andy Farrell can secure this win, this will be like a crowning moment. Pretty much he can get a lot of his criticism off his backs. So Ireland actually had a lot of injury issues due to Johnny Sexton, due to a lot of players not available, etc., during the Six Nations earlier this year. So Andy Farrell had that. Really, probably could have won Six Nations if he wasn't for some of these really unlucky injuries, especially with Johnny Sexton. The way Ireland runs all of their attacks is focused largely around their 10. And with Sexton out for the first two, he was injured in the first match against Wales, and then out for the second match. The reserve fly half, Billy Burns, was just criticized a lot for just making small mistakes. And sure enough, to be put in such a high pressure situation with everything directed through you in the Irish team, the most critical hinge in the team, of course, he was not able to handle the pressure and lost the first 2 games for Ireland. Following that, Sexton came back and just literally, carry the Irish team, manage everything perfectly for the finish of the season with 3 wins over quite difficult opponents as well. England and Scotland, and Scotland was pretty close as well. So overall, Andy Farrell had a bit of a tough season, and this will be the first time he'll be having pretty much an injury-free Ireland side against the number 1 team in the world, the mighty All Blacks. And this will be a chance for him to prove that he deserving to be the head coach of Ireland. There was literally talks of him being fired after losing to Wales and losing to France. It was pretty difficult to watch. And the All Blacks, however, this season is a record-breaking season. Had a almost perfect season with only one blemishing on their record. They lost one game in the Rugby Championship against South Africa in the dying minutes where they lost the penalty goal. So overall, the All Blacks has been quite spectacular this year. And they also broke the highest point score this year in the calendar year already, and still got 2 games to go. So All Blacks is already breaking records going into this match. And the weather in Ireland, Dublin on Saturday evening, is going to be pretty much dry. It's not going to be rain. Maybe a little bit of wet conditions from the rain from the previous couple days, but it's overall going to be okay. Humidity might be a little bit of of wetness on the ground, but overall it's going to be pretty good conditions for some good rugby. I think this is played in the afternoon, or maybe I think this is played in the afternoon, so this will be a good rugby. So let's have a look at the lineup. Let's have a look at who's up, who's down, what's going on. So Ireland, like I mentioned, pretty much unchanged. Very tiny little tweaks on the team. So the front row is unchanged for them starting on front row last week. Andrew Porter, Ronan Keller, and Ty Furlong. Ty Furlong had an exceptionally good game last week. His hard running game, he was running like an absolute menace on the field, like a madman, crashing through the defense, the Japanese defense. Really interesting to see how he performed this game. I guess a much tougher defense against the New Zealand All Blacks. And the All Blacks has once again opted for Joe Moody as a starting loosehead prop. I thought Karl Tuinukuafe surely would be starting against Ty Furlong because Karl Tuinukuafe is the best loosehead prop for New Zealand, and also Nipo Laulala is also a Blues player, same with Karl Tuinukuafe. So those two players will have a better combination because they've been working together in the Blues rugby in the clubs. Cody Taylor comes in number 2 after getting a week of break. Cody Taylor is the fitter and more agile player for the number 2 hooker position. He is exceptionally good, having an exceptionally well season following the Crusaders. And number 3, Nipo Laulala, as I mentioned, the Blues tight head prop. Had a bit of a handling errors, I think against Italy? Against Wales. But overall, he's pretty solid performer in the tight head position. Pretty much ticks the boxes of everything you wanted to do from a tight head. Ian Henderson comes off the bench for Ireland at number 4 position, next to James Ryan at number 5. And the lock for the New Zealanders are just two of the most difficult locks to line out against Brodie Retallick and Sam Whitelock. Sammy Whitelock is the captain at 130 test caps, the most experienced player in New Zealand team and in this lineup overall. And I think this would be a very difficult challenge for the Irish. James Ryan has been good for Ireland, but this is a very difficult challenge, and it's actually more difficult than you will imagine overall as a result of the loose forward pickings. So the Irish has opted the same loose forwards as well. Seelan Doris, Josh Van der Fille, and then Jack Conan for the rounding up the loose 3. And the All Blacks, Ethan Blackadder, Dalton Papali'i, and Adi Savia finishes off the loose trios. So I think one of the biggest advantage and probably one of the most hidden talent for the All Blacks is Ethan Blackadder. He is just incredibly good all around the park, incredibly good at a breakdown, physicality, incredibly fit. And the thing that I think makes him really special is that he's also incredibly good at lineouts, extremely smooth. It's just flawless at lineouts. So he's almost pretty much can be considered a world-class lock. So having him at number 6 could potentially be a little bit of an issue for Ireland, as he tends to be that third jumper further back as like a wild option for the All Blacks. So we shall see how the Irish deals with him on the field, and we shall see how he actually how he's gonna perform this match, because he's still relatively unknown. He's only debuted this year. His dad used to be an All Black, and sure enough, he's carried over some of that genes from his father, and he's just spectacular. Probably one of the his trajectory is going to be one of the best All Black, forward pack at least going into the future. So we shall see how this goes in the matchup. In the backline matchup, the Ireland has fielded unchanged for last week, and the New Zealanders had a sweeping changes across the board. Jamison Gibson Park stays at number 9 over Connor Murray. There has been a lot of talks about whether or not he should be Connor Murray, the more experienced number 9, should be at 9 position. But his game last week was really good. There was a lot of pace, a really good fast breakdown against Japan. But we shall see if he can continue that against a much more difficult opponent in New Zealand. But based on his last week's performance, he was granted he retained his number 9 jersey for Ireland. Johnny Sexton, number 10, the most important player in Ireland. His performance this game will basically be whether or not Ireland's going to win this match. Everything's hinged on his performance. Coming in at 941 test points, he's just everything Ireland is looking. Yeah, everything Ireland needs him to pull a big match for this game. So Johnny Sexton, last week's performance was much more smoother than we've seen from the Six Nations. A lot more running game, a lot better at directing traffic around the park. So it's something that potentially it's needed to beat the All Blacks. Less kicking game, more running game. So yeah, we should see how that goes. But Johnny Sexton's kicking game also world class. Absolutely, his kicking game, like the way he manages kicking game, is just absolutely takes Ireland through all their wings, like in the Six Nations essentially. So he's definitely showed that we know he can kick, and he definitely showed last week he can run as well, direct the running game as well. So we shall see how he goes. And they're up against a pretty veteran combo from the All Blacks, TJ Perenara and Beauden Barrett. This is the combination that has been a bit rusty earlier this year, but they've been working out quite well, especially against Wales. TJ Perenara, Beauden Barrett are both extremely, extremely good at making quick decisions and make fast decisions and exploit opportunities that present to you in front of them. These two players are very identical in doing that. So TJ Perenara has been favored a lot coming off the bench for this exact trait that he has. But due to, injuries, he's now starting at number 9. And Aaron Smith is in the team, but he's not fit, match fit and ready to play yet. So Aaron Smith is not selected. But TJ Perenara, very good to see how he matches up against Jamison Gibson Park, as Gibson Park has a really quick, also likes a quick game style from last week. So this will be a pretty good matchup to see how both number 9s fare against each other. At number 10 spot, Beauden Barrett. Finally, he's had a lot of lows. He was literally almost in tears in national anthems against Wales because he thought that was probably his last time of beating the number 10 again at the starting position. And he put on absolutely spectacular performance against Wales. Just 2 intercept tries. Absolutely would look like God Beauden again from 2017. So it's really good to see him back at number 10. However, his kicking has still been a bit of an issue for him. Most likely, Jody Barrett, his brother, will be doing kicking. But Beauden, overall, his gameplay, his decision-making, his kicking has been a lot better and just extremely sharp against Wales. So we shall see if he can actually carry that on. If he does play God Beauden again, I think his speed might be a bit of defining factor against Johnny Sexton. We shall see. So we'll see how this is an interesting matchup. We shall see how that goes. Not sure. Maybe Johnny Sexton will resort to that kicking game more because Beauden Barrett's speed and just decision at speed in attack. Maybe Johnny Sexton will want to do that. We'll see how Andy Farrell crafted the strategy going into this weekend. Very interesting to see. At number 11 spot, James Lowe up against Seville Reece, 2 incredibly agile wingers. James Lowe had a really good game against Japan last week, and Seville Reece has been pretty solid overall for the All Blacks overall. The center position combinations, Bandiaki retains at 12, Gary Ringrose at 13, and these two guys worked extremely well last week against Japan. Bandiaki was able to link up with his outside player quite smoothly, and they look really good last week against Japan as a center combination. And they're up against Anton Leonard-Brown and Riku Ioane. This is actually the first time the All Blacks play this combination in this back line. So Anton Leonard-Brown and Riku are both outside centers. And David Havili has been having a lot of issues with his game management these days. Like I've mentioned, I told you he's not good. And Sir Fozzie seems to agree with me. So basically, David Havili has been the premier number 12 for the All Blacks since start of the season. And he's just in recent times, not sure if it's fatigue. He's just been making a lot of uncharacteristic handling errors, just dropping balls under the pressure, not really getting over the advantage line as you want to see from a 12. As a result, he's been dropped to the bench. Anton Linder-Brown has had a rough start earlier this year. In fact, he had been a bit injured. Last game against Wales, he's back at the tip-top form as Anton Linder-Brown, as we've seen, getting turnovers to break down, making line breaks, being in the support. Last game against Wales, Anton Linder-Brown really, starting to see his form back in 100%. So I'm good to see him being favored at number 12 position, because I do think that he's a much better selection at number 12 than David Havili. Rieko Ioane, I do think he's probably better at the wing, but with Anton Linder-Brown at 12, I think Rieko is a very solid selection at number 13 as well. And also Rieko is one of the best finishers in the team. So very interested to see how, again, it's Rieko and Gary Ringrose is a test of speed and agility, I think, which is to see which guy will come out on top. Number 14 spot, Andrew Conway for the Ireland, and Will Jordan comes in for New Zealand. Will Jordan, again, to the moon. This guy is just absolutely spectacular. Had a huge season for the Crusaders, and also a huge season for the All Blacks. Impeccable kicking game, incredibly running game, and just solo individual tries, being able to just, chip and chase, do all the fancy, flashy stuff as a winger that you would expect. Just literally he's able to create opportunities by himself. So someone with that ability on the wing is just, you can't ask for more, really. So incredible performer, incredible finisher. This will be a very difficult task for the Irish to handle, to be honest. We'll just see how they handle around him, because he has the ability to, like I said, create opportunities by himself. So you need a lot of, leadership, a lot of vision to shut him down, actually. So this could be a critical piece of puzzle of the All Blacks potentially beating the Irish team this weekend. Hugo Keenan comes in number 15, and Geordie, the great Barrett, the best Barrett of the Barrett family, comes in number 15. Absolute spectacular performance for the All Blacks. He's been taking over the kicking duty over his brother Beauden Barrett, and he's been getting 100%. Anywhere within 50, he will slot it through, which is really impressive. And considering that he's also a perfect under the high ball, spectacular running ability as well, incredibly agile and quick, and he also plays a really good support. A support attacking player as well. So Geordie Barrett, this will be a huge test for Hugo Keenan in front of him. On the bench, sweeping changes again for the All Blacks. There's one change for the Irish team. Rob Heron comes in at number 16, and overall, and also obviously we've talked about Ty Burns gets dropped to the bench from the starting number 4 position. So Rob Heron, Cian Healy, and Finlay Bellin comes in for the propping positions. And for the All Blacks, Dan Coles, the veteran, comes back at number 16. He had a really spectacular game. Last week when they were when they were failing to break through Italy, Dan Coles really stepped up and showed why he's the big gun, the veteran. The leadership stepped up and really carried the All Blacks through that tough period. Kyle Tuinukuafe comes back at number 17. I still think he should be starting. I think Fozzie thinks that he's better as a finisher, just to make sure that scrum doesn't, stay stabilized in the second half. Could be his logic here to putting him at number 17. Again, Terrell Lomax seems to be favored as a tight head prop for the All Blacks now over Angus Tarvai. This is an interesting decision by the management. Ty Byrne comes in at number 19, as we mentioned. Peter Romani comes in, another veteran for Ireland, comes in at number 20. Tupa Va'ai, a youngster for the All Blacks, comes in at number 19. And Akia Ioane, Rieko Ioane's brother, comes in at number 20 for the All Blacks. Conor Murray, the other veteran, comes in at number 21, the backup captain for the Lions tour. So everybody thought Conor Murray should be starting this match, but maybe because the performance last week for Gibson Parks was very impressive. So Conor Murray once again comes in at number 21, and maybe, just maybe, they are going to bring off Johnny Sexton later in the second half. Maybe they wanted to make sure that there's leadership backing up Joe Cabri to make sure that things stays intact in the second half when Johnny Sexton, the most important hinge, comes off the Irish team. So they probably have that in mind as well, keeping Conor Murray on the bench. And Joe Kubrick obviously comes in at number 22. I think he's going to be replacing Johnny Sexton unless something else happens on the field. And Keith Earls at number 23 for the Irish team. For the All Blacks, Finlay Christie comes in at number 9 spot for the All Blacks. And Richie Mo'unga, this will be interesting to see where he goes in the team, because he normally goes in for obviously Beauden Barrett, because he's considered to be one of the best 5'8" ever or in the world. And his performance against Australia earlier this year was just spectacular. But he had a month off before rejoining the team again, and maybe those time off built a bit of rust. So we're not sure how Fozzie feels about him. His kicking is still impeccable. So against Wales, Richie Mo'unga actually came on as a winger instead of a 10. He came on as a winger. So we shall see if he comes on as a winger again, maybe for Will Jordan, or is he going to come on for Beauden Barrett at number 10? We shall see how this goes. David Havili, he's going to come on at center position, most likely for Anton Leonard-Brown, maybe even Rico Ioane. We shall see how that goes. But yeah, David Havili has a lot of work to improve. His performance has been, definitely letting himself down a little bit. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. I do appreciate if you could like, comment, and subscribe. I do read all your comments. Let me know your predictions, and I'll see you guys a bit later for the review. Cheers.